Hi everyone! Today I'm starting a new show. It's called Retro Freak 84's Rare Records. I've had this idea for quite a while now. If you didn't know, by my background, and just the fact that I've mentioned it here and there over the past 10 years on my channel, I am a big record collector. I started collecting records when I was about 12, 13 years old. I actually used to make videos showing my entire collection on this channel that I'll show right there. Back then I had very few records, maybe a dozen, 2 dozen or so. And now I have over 2,500. I buy records just about every week. There's rarely a week that goes by that I don't buy records. And in the past 3 or 4 years, I've gotten really into collecting, searching, and purchasing rare records. Records that are very hard to find. They either mean something to me, or the record collecting community as a whole. Maybe many weren't made. Maybe they were briefly pressed. Those are the records I love, and I like to find and collect. I go to shows, I go to stores, flea markets, garage sales, estate sales, you name it. And each episode, we're going to be looking at one of the rare records I have. So, before we go to our first record that I'm going to review that I have, my rare record, I'm going to just give you a little overview of my collection. Let's take a look. We start here. The first record in my collection, .38 Special, otherwise known as 38 Special, going to A, B, C, D, D, E, and so on, 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 and then we end at Z. They're all alphabetized, and they are all categorized. If I have multiple artists, we go chronological. So, first record we have AC/DC, High Voltage, ending with their most recent album, Rock or Bust. That's how I organize them. Have them all in a Word document. So, now that you've seen just how big the collection is, and again, it's about 2,500 as of now, let's take a look and see what record we're going to look at today. And it comes from the B section. This is an original US pressing copy from 1967 of David Bowie's self-titled album, David Bowie. You rarely find this on CD, and Bowie himself never really performed any of the songs off it in his long-spanning live career. Let's just take a look at the front cover. That is not Ziggy Stardust or, the character scene from Aladdin Sane or Diamond Dogs. This looks like, well, quite literally, looks like someone that came out of the British invasion scene around that time in the mid to late 60s. He looks like Peter Noone of Herman's Hermits. He's got that Beatles mop top. In fact, this album, which pretty much underperformed, was released on June 1st of 1967, just a few days, and that's the same week after the Beatles' groundbreaking album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So, this record was kind of doomed from the start. It has a very sort of poppy feel, a little Baroque sounding, if you will. And just look at that logo. I mean, again, it's not the David Bowie we would see later on. In fact, most people don't really even consider this canon if we're speaking on David Bowie's musical style. So much so that David Bowie's second album was called in the UK, yeah, you guessed it, David Bowie. In America, it's called Space Oddity, and of course, you have that famous song coming from there. Let's just take a look at the disc, since this is a pretty rare record. Released on the Darum label, same label as the Moody Blues. This is a mono copy, as noted by that middle stamp. As for grading-wise, this is a strong VG+, maybe even a VG++. Just a few hairline scratches. Very nice shine for its age. I mean, I've cleaned it. But overall, this is a pretty good copy, considering its age. One other thing I'd like to point out about this copy is that it is a promo copy. Right here, promo copy, not for sale. And for those of you who aren't so well invested and knowledgeable about the record collecting world, a promo copy is a record that was given to a record store or a DJ at a radio station. So this meant that this would not go in stores for sale. If it went to a record store, it would be just to play in the store. So usually there might be a marking on the disc that says that. However, in this case, you just have this nice stamp on the back here. And apparently the owner was someone, and you can't really see it here, but it's stamped quite a few times on the back, someone named Bob Morrison. I got this on eBay earlier this year. It's definitely one of my favorite pieces because I am such a big Bowie fan, and I'm very big, as we're going to see in this series, on chronology and having every single album of my favorite artists, and David Bowie is obviously very up there. I was devastated when he passed a few years ago. But overall, this album, it's fun. It's very interesting to hear, just in terms of context, how much this man's music changed and his looks changed over the years. I mean, he's not wearing anything strange here. He's not looking androgynous at all. This is just a kid coming out of the British invasion, sort of trying to chart it next to what some people call the greatest album of all time. I would play some tracks off this album, but I don't feel like getting involved with copyright. You can just go on Spotify, check it there. And again, it's very hard to find on CD because Bowie himself never really acknowledged much of this album. He probably didn't like it. But it did launch his status in America, and it started him on his way to becoming the global pop sensation we know of. I'm Elijah Reese. Thanks for checking out Retro Freak 84's Rare Records. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and if you have any rare records you like to talk about, or maybe ones that I have and I could check my collection and I could do a video on, just comment here. Take care, and keep spinning them records. Those rare records. Have a good one.